Welcome back to the channel. What is going on with Zcash? This week, Zcash is the worst performing asset among the top 100 altcoins. Just recently, it looked like the sky was the limit after breaking a key resistance level. On the Zcash US dollar chart, we saw lower lows, aligned tops, and what appeared to be a breakout suggesting a potential continuation of the rally. But maybe that interpretation is too complex. Instead, what we might actually be seeing is a familiar pattern. Aligned tops followed by a pump and then a dump, something Zcash has done multiple times in the past. Now, I generally don't like focusing too much on USD price charts in crypto. The reason is simple. Everything is highly correlated. When Bitcoin goes up, altcoins usually follow. When Bitcoin crashes, altcoins fall as well. So if an altcoin is going down in dollar terms, that doesn't necessarily mean the project itself is weak. It could simply be the broader macro environment. That's why I prefer looking at relative valuations. How is Zcash performing relative to the rest of the altcoin market? When Zcash went sideways for a long time, the total altcoin market cap was actually expanding. And when we compare Zcash against the altcoin market, we get a very different picture. For most of its history, Zcash has been a capital-burning project, effectively down close to 100% relative to the market. But something changed around April 2024. That's when Zcash started to slowly outperform the rest of the altcoin market, and that's where the real rally began. So while the USD chart tells one story, the relative valuation chart tells another. This wasn't just a general altcoin rally driven by Bitcoin or Ethereum. This move was idiosyncratic specific to Zcash itself. Now let's look at market cap. Zcash peaked at around $10 billion and has since fallen to roughly $6 billion. The tops are aligning once again, which raises an important question. Are we about to see history repeat itself, another massive pump followed by a dump? And have we already started that dump? Here's where it gets really interesting. This chart shows open interest in Zcash, essentially how many leverage bets are being placed through perpetual futures. In 2021, open interest peaked around $60 million. Since then, it has increased by nearly 20x. But here's the key point. The price did not increase 20x, it barely doubled. That means speculative capital has grown far faster than the actual asset price. Why does this matter? Because open interest and price are strongly correlated. More speculative bets tend to push prices higher. When that speculative capital leaves, prices usually follow. And when we zoom in between 2020 and 2023, the relationship is undeniable. More open interest, higher price. Less open interest, lower price. This is the big risk for Zcash right now. Yes, Zcash has broken a long-term downtrend versus the altcoin market, but there is a huge amount of short-term speculative capital that can exit very quickly. Now let's look at on-chain data. This is the number of Zcash transactions since 2017. We see repeated spikes in activity followed by sharp declines. The most recent spike is the largest ever, but once again, activity is already falling. Compare that to Bitcoin or Ethereum, where transaction counts trend upward over the long term. Zcash gets attention and then it fades. This is a classic bubble-like pattern, rapid growth followed by contraction. Here's Zcash relative to Bitcoin on a linear scale, and here it is on a logarithmic scale, showing clear lower highs and potentially another lower low forming. Right now, we're in the middle of a trading range. The recent sell-off may just be the beginning. Zcash could still fall another 30-35% against Bitcoin, possibly by the end of the month. There is more than enough short-term capital that could leave the asset to justify that move. I'm not saying Zcash will return to its long-term downtrend, and I don't have a crystal ball, but based on the data, the probability of Zcash going lower from here is higher than the probability of it going higher. As always, I'm just sharing the data and my interpretation. If you enjoyed this analysis, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I publish regularly.